You ever get that itch, that craving to really get something complex, maybe like time travel, but the thought of digging through all the dense research just feels like it'd take forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, today we're kind of hitting fast forward for you. We're diving headfirst into this really fascinating and often kind of mind-bending intersection of artificial intelligence and the whole idea of time travel.
We've got a really interesting mix lined up, haven't we? We're looking at everything from, the wild ways pop culture imagines AI playing with time.
Right.
To the more serious, though still very theoretical arguments from scientists about how it might actually work, and even what they think about time itself.
Exactly. The mission today is really to pull out those moments, those satisfying little nuggets without, drowning you in jargon.
Yeah, avoid the information overload.
We're after the surprising connections, the juicy bits that make you go, okay, that's interesting. So let's kick things off where a lot of these big ideas seem to start, in stories. How has pop culture, the land of what if, actually shown AI getting involved in bending the rules of time?
Oh, it's pretty amazing when you look at the patterns. One of the big ones, looking at your sources, has to be the Terminator. I mean, there you have Skynet, this really malevolent AI.
Yeah, terrifying.
Not just figuring out time travel, but weaponizing it, sending a killing machine back to change history. It really taps into that deep fear, doesn't it? Technology getting so smart it turns on us.
Absolutely. That fear of the machine run amok. Then there's Time Cop. It's maybe less about one specific bad AI, but the whole Time Enforcement Commission policing the timeline, that just screams complex tech. You can't manage that with sticky notes. It implies some kind of advanced AI doing the tracking and analysis, surely.
Oh, definitely. The sheer logistics of watching all of history for changes. You'd need intelligent automation. And Premer's interesting too, in a different way.
It focuses on the inventors, sure, but building that machine, it's so complex, trial and error. It feels like they must have had sophisticated computer modeling, almost like a basic AI helping them figure out how to actually manipulate time.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, something maybe more whimsical. Doctor Who and the TARDIS.
Ah, yes.
It's often described as, semi-sentient, alive almost. It has a personality, knows where the doctor needs to go.
Sometimes before he does.
Exactly. It's not AI like silicon chips, but it functions like this incredibly smart partner in navigating space and time, like a living time machine.
That's a great way to put it. It really blurs that line between tech and, something else. And even in Back to the Future Part 2, no AI assistant, obviously, but the DeLorean needed those precise time calculations. It hints at the kind of complex processing that, future AI could easily handle, maybe automate the whole thing.
So yeah, whole spectrum. From hostile AIs changing the past to these helpful, almost magical time navigating partners. Okay, let's zoom out. Space odysseys. AI seems almost essential for survival out there, doesn't it? Absolutely crucial. Think about 2001, A Space Odyssey. HAL 9000.
Iconic.
HAL's not just running the ship, he's making critical decisions, talking to the crew, a central, powerful AI on this huge mission.
Right. And in Alien, you've got MUTHUR 6000, or Mother.
Less chatty than HAL, maybe.
Yeah, definitely less chatty.
But constantly monitoring everything. Ship systems, crew queries. It's the quiet, essential AI backbone for their whole deep space trip, right up until things go horribly wrong.
And you can't forget Star Trek. The ship's computer is practically a character in itself sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Managing navigation, life support, tactical stuff. Maybe not always portrayed with independent thought, but it's problem solving.
Yeah.
That points to really advanced AI capabilities.
For sure. And Battlestar Galactica offers it, maybe a darker take.
A very cautionary one, yeah. Humans relying heavily on networked computers, and then their biggest enemies are the Cylons, a whole race of self-aware AI. It really highlights the dangers, doesn't it? Even if it's not directly about AI helping with space travel in the usual sense.
So, yeah, across all these fictional worlds navigating space or time, AI is often right there, front and center.
Okay, what about quantum leaps? Both the time-jumping kind and, the metaphorical ones in technology.
Well, the original Quantum Leap series, right? It gave us Ziggy, the supercomputer calculating the probabilities for Dr. Beckett's jumps. It wasn't really a personality, but its power to analyze history and predict the next leap, definitely an AI-like thing making the time travel happen.
And the new series kind of amps that up, doesn't it? The AI seems more actively involved in figuring out the leaps and helping out.
Exactly. It shows how our thinking about AI's role in this stuff has evolved.
Yeah.
And it's funny how the phrase quantum leap itself,
Yeah.
we use it all the time now to describe big, fast jumps in technology, often involving AI. It's like our language connects AI with that idea of sudden, profound change.
Huh. Interesting point. Okay, now for someone whose tech maybe feels a bit more grounded, initially at least, Iron Man. His suits are basically powered by AI, right?
Well, totally fundamental to who Iron Man is. First, you had JARVIS, it's the original.
Stark's super intelligence system, managing the suits, the house, real-time battle analysis. JARVIS was like an extension of Stark's own brain.
And after JARVIS evolved, we got FRIDOY.
Right, stepping into a similar role. Managing the tech, giving advice, and even Spider-Man gets in on it with Karen in the Iron Spider suit.
Giving Peter Parker guidance.
And then there's EDIKH, the AI and the glasses, accessing the whole Stark network. And like your sources point out, this isn't just the movies. The comics consistently show Tony Stark relying on various AIs. It seems baked into the character.
So yeah, looking across all these stories, AI is everywhere, sometimes helpful, sometimes the ultimate threat. But okay, let's switch tracks. What does actual science say about needing something like AI for something as, well, mind-bending as time travel? Is it just a cool story idea, or is there a real argument there?
Right. This is where, the rubber meets the road. The basic problem with time travel, thinking about Einstein's relativity, is, well, it's the unbelievable complexity of space-time itself and the whole paradox issue.
Yeah, the paradoxes.
Navigating that, it's not just hard. It might actually be computationally impossible for any computer we have now, any classical computer.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Space-time. This four-dimensional fabric, it bends, it warps. That's already a lot to handle.
Exactly. But then you throw in quantum mechanics, maybe parallel universes.
Yeah.
The complexity just skyrockets.
So calculating a path through time.
You'd need to account for everything. Gravity from stars, planets, the movement of every particle, at least probabilistically, even tiny quantum fluctuations. The amount of data is just astronomical, way beyond what current computers can process.
You'd basically need a computer that could simulate everything all at once.
Pretty much. And then there's the paradox problem, the classic go back and stop your own birth scenario.
Right.
An advanced AI might be crucial just for that. Analyzing potential timelines, running incredibly complex simulations to see where paradoxes might pop up, predicting how tiny changes could ripple through everything. It's like the ultimate game of cosmic dominoes.
Predicting the weather across all of history.
Right.
Okay, you also mentioned needing quantum level precision. Why is that so important?
Because fundamentally, the universe runs on quantum rules at the smallest scales. So any attempt to really manipulate space-time, maybe creating those theoretical wormholes people talk about.
So shortcuts through time.
Yeah, that would probably mean messing with matter and energy at that incredibly tiny quantum level.
And that's where quantum computers would come in.
Precisely. Quantum computers using weird quantum effects like superposition, where a particle is in multiple states at once, like a spinning coin.
Okay.
And entanglement, they can do calculations that are just impossible for classical computers. Simulating quantum behavior, that's what they're built for, including modeling things like that hypothetical exotic matter with negative energy you might need to keep a wormhole stable.
So quantum computers handle the really deep fundamental physics calculations. How does AI fit back into that quantum picture then?
Well, imagine you need super sensitive quantum sensors to figure out exactly what space-time is doing around you to navigate through it. And AI could take all that incredibly complex, subtle data from the sensors and interpret it in real time, making tiny, constant adjustments to keep you on track. It's like having this incredibly smart pilot navigating through like a fog of quantum uncertainty.
Right. It's not just raw power. It's the intelligence to make sense of it all instantly.
And that leads to another key thing, AI's ability to learn and adapt. Time travel, if it's possible, probably isn't going to be a simple A to B jump.
Yeah, you figure things would go wrong.
Almost certainly. Unforeseen variables, unexpected problems. And AI could constantly monitor everything using that sensor data, see discrepancies, and adjust the time machine on the fly. It's like your GPS constantly rerouting you through a landscape that's literally changing as you move.
It's learning as it goes, but the stakes are.
Well,
the entire timeline.
Exactly. And if we did start traveling through time, we'd need to understand the consequences, right?
Yeah.
And AI could analyze what happens after trips, learn from them, maybe figure out safer ways to do it. It's learning from temporal experience itself.
Wow. Okay, so AI isn't just like a helpful extra for time travel. It sounds like it would be absolutely essential for managing the complexity, the uncertainty, everything.
That's really the core of the scientific argument. Classical computers just aren't built for the sort of continuous probabilistic nature of space-time at the quantum level. Quantum computers might be able to do the basic modeling,
Correct.
but the sheer amount of data, needing real-time analysis, adapting to paradoxes, that all points towards needing the reasoning, learning, and decision-making of advanced AI. It's like they'd have to work together, a synergy.
One wouldn't be enough without the other.
There you go.
So pop culture loves it. There's a scientific rationale. What about actual scientists? Are they just laughing this whole idea off, or are people seriously thinking about time travel?
Well, it's definitely true that the kind of instantaneous backward time travel, like in the movies, that's still very much speculation, very theoretical. But yeah, there are absolutely respected scientists who've seriously thought about the theoretical possibilities and about what time even is fundamentally.
Okay, so who are we talking about? Who are the main players pushing these ideas?
You absolutely have to start with Einstein. I mean, obviously, his theories of special and general relativity completely changed the game.
Right. EMISO and all that.
And showing time isn't absolute, it's relative. It depends on how you're moving. Gravity. That's the foundation for time dilation, which is real. We can measure it. His work opened the door to maybe manipulating space-time, and he was apparently intrigued, maybe even bothered, by solutions in his own equations that hinted at these things called closed time-like curves.
Closed time-like curves.
Yeah.
Well, those are the loops in space-time that could let you travel back to your own past.
That's the idea, yeah. And Kurt Gödel, brilliant mathematician, friend of Einstein's, he actually found a specific solution to Einstein's equations back in '49. It described a rotating universe where, theoretically, time travel along those curves could happen.
Wow. So it's possible.
Well, the catch is our universe doesn't seem to rotate like Gödel's model requires, but it was huge because it showed general relativity doesn't strictly forbid time travel, at least under certain, maybe very exotic conditions.
So a theoretical loophole exists, even if we can't use it. Who else is looking into this?
There's Ronald Mallet, a physicist working today. He's dedicated his whole career to researching time travel possibilities. He has theories involving ring lasers, rotating black holes, trying to figure out how to twist space-time into those loops. His work gets a lot of scrutiny, obviously, but he's serious about it.
Yeah, I bet it's a tough field to get funding for. What about Kip Thorne? He's a Nobel Prize winner, right?
Absolutely. Kip Thorne, huge name in gravitational physics, black holes, wormholes. That's his area. He seriously explored the idea of traversable wormholes, those hypothetical space-time tunnels.
Like in Interstellar.
Exactly. He was the science consultant on that movie. His work looks at what kind of weird stuff, like exotic matter with negative energy, might be needed to keep a wormhole open and stable enough to possibly travel through, maybe even through time.
So a direct link there between the theoretical physics and the sci-fi we see. Okay, and Stephen Hawking. He had some famous thoughts on this, didn't he?
He did. Initially, he proposed the chronology protection conjecture, basically an idea that the laws of physics might just have built-in rules to stop time travel from happening on a large scale.
To prevent paradoxes.
Probably, yeah. But his views seemed to soften a bit later on. He acknowledged the theoretical possibilities from relativity and quantum mechanics, even if he was pretty skeptical it could actually be done. Remember his party for time travelers?
Oh, yeah. He held a party, but only sent the invitations out after it happened.
Exactly. His logic was, if time travel was possible, someone from the future would have shown up. Nobody did.
Classic Hawking. Okay, one more name. David Deutsch. Known for quantum computation work, right? What's his take?
Yeah, Deutsch has looked at time travel through a quantum lens. He suggested maybe you could interact with past versions of yourself, but in parallel universes.
Ah, the multiverse idea.
Right, which could potentially get around some of the classic paradox problems. If you change something, you're just creating a different branch of reality, not rewriting your own past in a contradictory way.
So, bottom line, it's super theoretical, massive challenges, but it's not completely dismissed by science. Real researchers are grappling with it. Makes you wonder.
It really does. And it's important to remember, all these people exploring these really out there ideas, they're standing on the shoulders of giants. Physicists who laid the groundwork, even if they weren't thinking about time travel themselves.
You mean like Maxwell, Planck, Tesla? Their work feels fundamental to almost everything in modern physics.
Exactly. James Clerk Maxwell, unifying electricity, magnetism, light. That's foundational. Any attempt to manipulate space-time or energy, it's going to involve electromagnetism. Light's role in relativity makes his work crucial too, even for ideas about using light to maybe create wormholes.
Okay, so understanding the basic forces. What about Max Planck? He basically invented quantum theory.
Right. Planck, the father of quantum theory, energy coming in packets, Planck's constant. That's vital. The universe at its tiniest scales runs on quantum rules. Understanding the Planck scale, where quantum effects dominate, seems essential for any theory about microscopic wormholes or messing with reality at its core, and quantum entanglement might have weird temporal implications too.
The quantum realm really does seem key. And Nikola Tesla, his work was more practical, right? Engineering.
Yeah, Tesla's work on AC power, high-frequency currents, wireless energy.
Yeah.
It might seem less direct, but think about it. If you ever build a time machine, you'd probably need unbelievable amounts of power or ways to manipulate intense electromagnetic fields.
Oh, okay.
Tesla's breakthroughs in energy could be highly relevant. Plus, some speculative, often pretty inaccurate time travel theories sometimes try to invoke his name or ideas. But mainly, his advancements underpin the kind of advanced tech you'd need for any massive undertaking like time travel.
So their work, even if not about time travel, creates the essential knowledge base. Understanding forces, energy, the quantum world. It's all connected in this huge web.
Absolutely. And it's always fun to see how these really complex scientific ideas sometimes get reflected, maybe simplified or fictionalized in pop culture. Like that short video we looked at Tony Stark playing with a Mobius strip simulation for time travel.
Right. Asking his AI about the ion value and spectral decomposition looked very sci-fi. But what's the real science behind Mobius strips and spectral decomposition? Are they even real things?
Oh, they're definitely real. A Mobius strip is that cool shape. Take a strip of paper, half twist, tape the ends, one continuous side. It's important in math and topology. And it even has practical uses like conveyor belts that wear evenly.
Huh, okay. And spectral decomposition?
That's a powerful math technique, mostly in linear algebra. You break down a matrix into simpler parts, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. It's fundamental in things like quantum mechanics, signal processing, lots of fields.
Okay, so Mobius strips are real geometry. Spectral decomposition is real math used in physics. How did the video use them? Accurately.
Well, the visual of the Mobius strip was accurate, but using spectral decomposition to find an ion value related to it for time travel, that's almost certainly fictional technobabble.
Technobabble. Love that word.
Yeah. Spectral decomposition analyzes matrices. It doesn't calculate properties of Mobius strips that way. It's a classic sci-fi move. Use real scientific terms, but apply them in a made-up way to sound plausible.
Gotcha. Real science mixed with creative license. Happens all the time. What about that other video, A Robot's Dream? That got into some pretty deep ideas about perception, reality.
That one was definitely thought-provoking. The idea of a neural net making dreamlike images.
Yeah.
That connects to real AI image generation. But a robot actually dreaming like humans, having consciousness, that's still deep in speculative territory. Huge debates about that.
But also talked about how our own perceptions are filtered, right? Like past experiences, beliefs, hurts, coloring how we see things now. Is there science behind that?
Oh, absolutely. Cognitive science calls it constructive perception. Our brains don't just record reality like a camera. They actively build our experience using memories, expectations, and cognitive biases, like confirmation bias. That shows how our beliefs literally shape what we notice and how we interpret it.
So we really do see the world through our own filters.
We do. And the video's idea of an awakened mind or true vision by clearing those filters, that resonates with things like mindfulness or cognitive therapy techniques used in psychology. We know the brain has neuroplasticity. It can change and adapt.
That's fascinating how these artistic ideas hook into real psychology and neuroscience. It even mentioned love and having a positive vision for the future.
Yeah, and that aligns perfectly with research too. Social connection, positive emotions, focusing on goals. Psychology and neuroscience show how vital those are for well-being, resilience, even learning. So A Robot's Dream, while definitely metaphorical, it's tapping into some solid scientific concepts about how our minds work.
Let's switch gears one last time. That Doctor Who clip, Van Gogh visiting the gallery, incredibly moving.
Yeah, that was powerful.
How accurate was that portrayal of him? His genius, his struggles?
Well, it was a deeply emotional take, really emphasizing his genius and how he turned suffering into beauty. Historically, calling him the finest painter is subjective, of course. But it absolutely captured the intense feeling in his work, and it fits with what we know about his life, the mental illness, the lack of recognition while alive. It felt emotionally true, even if maybe a bit idealized, and showing him in the Musée d'Orsay, where his work hangs today, felt right.
It's that blend of fiction and real emotion that hits hard.
Okay.
And the other Doctor Who clip, weeping angels, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yes, class.
How does that sci-fi logic hold up?
Hey, well, it's fantastic television, but it definitely takes liberties. Time travel in Doctor Who is pretty much pure fantasy. Quantum locking, where the angels freeze when seen. That's not really related to the real quantum locking you see with superconductors. And while observation is crucial in quantum mechanics, it doesn't make big statues freeze like that. It's a brilliant story device, playing with scientific ideas, but stretched way beyond reality.
Great sci-fi, not a physics lesson. Got it. We also looked at a bunch of other clips. Doogie Howser on giving, The Matrix on belief, that fictional Trump shooting report.
Yeah.
Way too many to cover now, but did you see any common threads in how all those different clips connected fiction to real life?
Yeah, definitely. Across the board, you see fiction grappling with real-world stuff. The Matrix reality, manipulation, belief, the Doctor Who scene about conflict, empathy, communication, even the Princess Bride sword fight, while stylized, has elements of real strategy and psychology. The Independence Day quotes tapped into real environmental worries and how governments talk to us. Fiction, even the really out there stuff, often holds up a mirror to our own lives, our societies, our struggles, our big questions.
Like a funhouse mirror, yeah. Distorting things, but showing us something true.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into AI, time travel, perception, what are the main takeaways for you?
Well, we saw how pop culture just loves putting AI into space and time travel stories, right? As helpers, villains, everything in between. Then, looking at the science, there's this strong argument that if time travel were possible, you'd likely need both quantum computing power and advanced AI intelligence working together for the navigation, the paradoxes, the sheer complexity.
The synergy idea.
Exactly. And finally, we saw that real scientists, while cautious and knowing it's highly theoretical, are still exploring the fundamental nature of time and the possibilities, however remote, of manipulating it. It's not totally off the table scientifically.
It really has been a fascinating trip connecting all these dots. Definitely gives you a lot to think about. So for you, listening in, here's maybe one last thought to chew on. That way we keep imagining time travel in stories, often tangled up with smart machines. Maybe it's not just convenient plotting. Maybe it's tapping into some deep intuition we have about how complex and interconnected time really is. What other sci-fi ideas, maybe ones that seem totally crazy now, might actually hold little clues about how reality works? Keep asking those questions. Keep exploring the deep dives.
The devils, he walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I pray to God in hopes he would reply to me and wash away any demons that are inside of me. But after all this, don't know if there's any fun in me. So hold me close and don't ever lose sight of me. I read my life for the devil and now I'm so alive. He'd offer me fame and riches to blow up overnight. I turned my back on the darkness as God opened my eyes. Got down and prayed he'd save me from my own demise. I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah,
what if heaven was hell and vice versa? Would you partake in the evil? Team up with demons, deceiving people to see him hurt. I believe in God, though I ain't seen him in person. Know the devil's lurking, he working, trying to see who gon' worship. The world is full of division. They twisted all the religions, created mental victims, so they stay enslaved to the system. Indoctrinated generations can't escape the agenda. It's time we change how we live and start educating our children.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never seen
them, but I know that they watching me like I'm a Cena. I'm trying to be cleaner, but the devil keep dancing around my arena, trying to get me to leaner, trying to come in between us. But he is not Ike and I'm not Tina. See, I won't eat the cake cause I don't want the lake. I don't play with gasolina. I'm grinning, no sin, and he wrote the end from the beginning, and that's why I'm winning. The devil got me spinning, trying to fold me like I'm linen, but I ain't not fitting. The world keep on trying to seep in. The devil throw me in a deep end. I got Jesus, I ain't never sinking. I'm swimming, yeah.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I'll walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
I never saw an angel till I saw the one who fell from the sky. Never knew an evil quite like what I felt in his eyes. Introduced himself as Lucifer, I already knew him cause I was used to the scriptures saying just who he was. Satan was growing up, every child of the father, every mind, every life, every sister and brother. He said, I'll give you the world, I'll make you royalty. I told him, get behind me, Satan, you're not new to me.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I'll walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
Father, I've been looking for a blessing. Spiritually fighting in his word got me stressing. And bad thoughts take over like cancer. But God, I know you are the answer. Father, it's hard to believe what we can't see, but I got no time for disbelief. I don't wanna miss out on eternal life.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I'll walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
Let me take a second, put myself in Satan's shoes. If it was my goal to bring you down, and I knew it was a still small voice I had to overpower, I'd flood your head with 1,000 voices. A lot of like anxiety. That one's pretty loud. How about depression? That one tends to shout. Throw in a little self-loathing, little shame inside. And now we got ourselves a crowd. I'd probably make you think of suicide on the way down, long before you ever hit the ground. Cause I don't want you hit rock bottom and the tears run dry. You'll turn to God and he's always there to pull you out. Here's one thing of which I'm convinced: intrusive thoughts, man, they don't exist. They're attacks by the enemy, it's a throwing fist. That's why you need God's armor, cause Satan doesn't miss.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I'll walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
You could call it God, you could call it faith. You could say the universe works in mysterious ways. Call it higher power, call it energy. Some people only call when there's things they need. And I've been fooled too many times. I've been sold too many lies of money, power, fame. Oh, I stoop so low, got on my knees and pray.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I'll walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
You will only see the power of the Almighty if you believe. The devil's working overtime to deceive. So many preachers and prophets using the church as a payday. Kando makorisi. Furani mato. Isapatendera zitu za shango niji chini controller. Just keep on praying. I only see God when I look into my daughter's eyes.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
I know he gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Sometimes I can't handle all the weight that's on my shoulders. I've been praying every day, looking for a better way, but the devil likes it when I fall. You can take me to the flames of hell and I'll laugh at his face while I pray and never sell my soul. And I'll say God is my father and I love him no matter the pain that life brings. Yeah.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
Seems like he's always lurking when I turn around, searching for ways that he can damn it down. Lost almost every low that I have ever found. They either gave up or 6 feet underground. But all I know is nowadays to lean on God, the only certain in a burden that is off the side. Behind the curtain, he working hard to even odds in his love, even though he know he always flawed.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
I may break down and hurt, but that don't mean I cry. Been taught lessons after lesson, not perfect but I'll try. Before I came into this world, I was born in God's mind. The devil he tried to take me, but I knew he was a lie. My faith too strong to let him, I will not comply. Cannot let him deceive me, cause I want to go high. I'm better than I was yesterday, I testify. Follow Jesus when he come, he gon' crack the sky.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
Yeah, a sinner from birth who recently stumbled back into the church. Who recently started to look in the mirror with some questions like, I don't know if I got worth. Man, God, I've been praying, do you hear my word? I know that the late don't expect to return. Just know that I've seen Satan up close in his eyes with the color of all the associate burn. He's been testing me with these temptations. So I tried to flee from the toxins of mayhem. I purchased a ticket and prayed for my saving. The devil then showed up inside of the station and asked me the problem. I told him he's dangerous. I told him that I ain't someone he created. I told him it only worked out if he was still an angel, cause maybe then we'd be related, but no.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the burbs to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose.
The culture is dissolving. Because the culture is a structure of category. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Right.
So, in fact, culture is a structure of category that we all share. So we see things the same way. Well, that's why we can talk. I mean, not exactly the same way, because then we'd have nothing to talk about. But roughly speaking, we have a bedrock of agreement. That's the Bible, by the way. So I just walked through the Museum of the Bible in Washington. That was very cool. It's a very cool museum.
So the structure, that's what the Bible
it's what
provides.
I figured out. I just figured this out this week. So it was a cool thing to walk through because it's chronological. They have one floor which is the history of the Bible. But it's not exactly that. It's really what it is the history of the book. Now, in many ways, the first book was the Bible. I mean, literally, because at one point there was only one book. Like, as far as our Western culture is concerned, there was one book. And for a while, literally, there was only one book. And that book was the Bible. And then before it was the Bible, it was it was scrolls and it was writings on papyrus. But we were starting to aggregate written text together. And it went through all sorts of technological transformations. And then it became books that everybody could buy. The book everybody could buy. And the first one of those was the Bible. And then it became all sorts of books that everybody could buy. But all those books, in some sense, emerged out of that underlying book. And that book itself, the Bible isn't a book, it's a library. It's a collection of books. And so, what I figured out was, partly because I was talking to my brother-in-law, Jim Keller, who's the world's greatest chip designer and has now designed a chip that's as powerful as the human brain, which is optimized for artificial intelligence learning, by the way. And so I talked to him about that. He said, "You heard of the internet?" I said, "Yeah, Jim, I've heard of it." He said, "This is way more revolutionary than that." So, in any case, we were talking about meaning in text because we were talking about translation and the problem of understanding text. And Jim said, the meaning of words is coded in the relationship of the words to one another. And the postmodernists make that case, that all meaning is derived from the relationship between words. That's wrong, because, well, what about rage? That's not words. And what about moving your hand? That's not words. So it's wrong, but part of it's right, because the meaning we derive from the verbal domain is encoded in the relationship between words. So now then you think, well, let's think about the relationship between words. Well, some words are dependent on other words. Some ideas are dependent on other ideas. The more ideas are dependent on a given idea, the more fundamental that idea is. That's a definition of fundamental. So now imagine you have an aggregation of texts in a civilization. You say, which are the fundamental texts? And the answer is the texts upon which most other texts depend. And so you put Shakespeare way in there in English because so many texts are dependent on Shakespeare's literary revelations. And Milton would be in that category, and Dante would be in that category, at least in translation. Fundamental authors, part of the Western canon, not because of the arbitrary dictates of power, but because those texts influenced more other texts. And then you think about that as a hierarchy, okay, with the Bible at its base, which is certainly the case. Now imagine that's the entire corpus of linguistic production, all things considered. Now how do you understand that? Like literally, how do you understand that? The answer is you sample it by reading and listening to stories and listening to people talk. You sample that whole domain. You build a low-resolution representation of that inside you, and then you listen and see through that. And so it isn't that the Bible is true. It's that the Bible is the precondition for the manifestation of truth, which makes it way more true than just true. It's a whole different kind of true. And I think this is not only literally the case, factually, I think it can't be any other way. It's the only way we can solve the problem of perception.
Vortex manipulators, yours is slave to mine. Cheap and nasty time travel.
Face me, magician! Face me!
Oh, you probably want to throw up, don't you? Pick a local. According to you, this is where the doctor is.
Okay, how do we find him? How do we know what we're looking for?
Anachronisms. The slightest, tiniest. Anachronisms.
Dude, what is that? You said you wanted an axe fight. Oh, come on. A few hundred years, that'll be really funny. It's a slow burner.
A musical instrument is not an axe.
Yes, and a daffodil is not a broadsword, but I still won the last round! What do you think of my tank? Don't worry, it isn't loaded.
I don't like it.
Neither do I. I bought it for my fish.
Your fish?
I may have ordered online. Oh, come on. Fish, tank. Honestly, this stuff will be hilarious in a very few hundred years. Do please stick around.
What's the matter with him? He's never like this.
Oh, you really are new, aren't you?
Wait, hang on. Did he just hear that? He doesn't know we're here, does he?
I have been here all day. It's been a great day.
You've been here for 3 weeks.
3 weeks? It must be nearly bedtime. Well, we've partied. Yes! I helped you dig a well with the first-class, child-friendly visitor center. I've given you some top-notch maths tuition in a fun but relevant way. And I've also introduced the word dude several centuries early. Let me hear you! Dude! Are you a Renaissance? Dude! Are you a medieval? Dude! I am a dragon sling! Dude!